Marcus Reed kicked open his own front door, ready to swing. 16 hours on the factory floor. His muscles screamed, his eyes burned. His 7-year-old daughter was at his sister's place for the night. The house should be dead silent. But someone was in his kitchen, running water, clinking dishes. Footsteps on his tile floor. He grabbed the wrench from his toolbox and moved down the hallway, heart pounding against his ribs. The kitchen light spilled into the darkness. A woman stood at his sink washing his dishes. She turned around. Marcus dropped the wrench. Elena Harper, the CEO of Harper Industries. His boss's boss's boss. "Mr. Reed," she said quietly, her hands trembling. "I came here to tell you the truth, and what I'm about to say will break your heart. Before we continue, drop a comment telling us what city you're watching from. We love seeing how far these stories travel. And if this one speaks to you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe." Marcus Reed didn't move. His brain couldn't process what his eyes were seeing. Elena Harper, the woman whose face was on the cover of Forbes magazine last month, the woman who owned the building where he'd sweated away the last 8 years of his life, stood in his cramped kitchen, wearing jeans and a white blouse, her designer watch sitting on his counter next to his daughter's cereal bowl. "How did you get in here?" The words came out like gravel. "Your landlord. I told him it was a company emergency." "A company emergency." Marcus laughed, but there was nothing funny about it. "Lady, I don't know what kind of game this is, but you need to leave. Right now." Elena didn't move. "I can't do that." "Excuse me." "Not until you hear what I came to say." Marcus felt his hands curl into fists. He'd spent 16 hours today crawling through machinery, replacing parts that should have been replaced 6 months ago, covering shifts that weren't his missing dinner with Lily for the 3rd time this week. And now the CEO of the company that had been grinding him into dust was standing in his kitchen like she belonged there. "You've got 30 seconds, he said. "Then I'm calling the cops." "That's fair." Elena pulled out one of his kitchen chairs and sat down. Her movements were slow, deliberate, like she was trying not to spook a wild animal. "But Marcus, can I call you Marcus?" "No, you can call me Mr. Reed. We're not friends. We've never spoken. You walk past me in the hallways like I'm furniture." The words hit her. He saw it in the way her shoulders dropped, the way her eyes flickered down to the table. "You're right," she said quietly. "I've been blind. Willfully blind. And that's exactly why I'm here." Marcus crossed his arms. 20 seconds. Elena took a breath. When she looked up at him, her eyes were glistening. "Do you know why you work 16-hour shifts while every other technician works 8? Because we're short-staffed. Richard says." "You're not short-staffed." The words hung in the air. "What?" "Richard Crane has been stealing from the company for 2 years." Elena's voice was steady now, but Marcus could see her hands shaking on the table. "He's been reporting phantom employees to corporate 3 technicians who don't exist. He collects their salaries, and he makes you cover their workload." Marcus felt the floor shift under his feet. That's not possible. I have the payroll records, the bank statements, everything." Elena reached into her bag and pulled out a manila folder. She slid it across the table. "It's all there. 3 fake names, 3 fake social security numbers, 3 direct deposits going into accounts Richard controls." Marcus didn't touch the folder. He couldn't. 2 years, he heard himself say. 2 years I've been killing myself, missing my daughter's soccer games, missing her school plays, collapsing on that couch every night because I can't even make it to my own bed. I know. 2 years of believing I wasn't good enough, that I was just too slow, too weak. Marcus." Elena stood up. "There's more." "More?" She walked to the window, her back to him. When she spoke again, her voice cracked. "Your performance reviews, the ones that keep you from getting promoted, that keep you stuck at the same pay grade year after year." She turned to face him. "Richard's been falsifying them." Marcus's vision went white at the edges. I pulled your real numbers yesterday, Elena continued. Your error rate is 0.3%. That's the best in the entire department, the best in the entire company. She paused. Richard's been reporting it as 12%. 12%. He's been sabotaging you, keeping you invisible, because if corporates saw your real performance, they'd promote you. They'd pay you what you're worth. And Richard would lose his cash cow, someone skilled enough to do the work of 4 people without complaining. The kitchen fell silent. Marcus stared at the folder on the table. 2 years of his life. 2 years of sacrifice. 2 years of wondering what was wrong with him, why he couldn't get ahead, why he was always so damn tired. All of it was a lie. Why? His voice came out broken. Why would you come here to tell me this? Why not send an email? Have HR schedule a meeting? Why show up at my house at 9 o'clock at night? Elena's composure finally cracked. A tear slipped down her cheek. Because I couldn't sleep last night. I sat in my office looking at your file, your address, your salary, your expenses. I did the math, Marcus. I know you've been skipping meals. I know you're not sure you can afford groceries and rent in the same week. Marcus flinched. The truth hurt worse than any lie. And I thought about calling, Elena continued. I thought about sending a lawyer. But none of that felt like enough. She gestured around his modest kitchen. You deserved more than corporate speak and empty apologies. You deserve to look me in the eye and see that I know. That I'm not hiding behind my title or my lawyers. So you came here to ease your guilt. No. Elena's voice hardened. I came here because I built that company with my own hands. I worked 80-hour weeks. I sacrificed everything, relationships, health, any semblance of a normal life. And I'll be damned if I let people like Richard Crane destroy everything I built by exploiting people like you. Marcus sank into the chair across from her. His legs couldn't hold him anymore. What happened to him, Richard? Suspended, pending a full investigation. Elena sat back down, meeting his eyes. But it's not just him. I've been going through records all night. This is happening in other departments too. Senior managers exploiting good employees, skimming budgets, falsifying reviews. Her voice dropped. I built a system that allowed this to happen. I was so focused on quarterly earnings and shareholder value that I stopped seeing the people bleeding to make those numbers possible. Marcus looked at her, really looked at her for the first time. He'd seen Elena Harper from a distance 100 times. Always in a power suit, always surrounded by executives, always untouchable. But the woman sitting across from him now had dark circles under her eyes. Her mascara was smudged. Her hands wouldn't stop trembling. She looked devastatingly human. You said there was something that would break my heart, Marcus said slowly. Was that it? The stealing? The falsified reviews? Elena shook her head. No. Then what? She reached into the folder and pulled out a single photograph. A school picture. Lily's face smiled up at him, gap-toothed and innocent. I know about your wife, Elena said softly. I know she passed away 3 years ago. I know you've been raising Lily alone while working yourself to death for people who don't appreciate you. Marcus's throat closed up. And I sat in my office last night, Elena continued, looking at this picture, and I realized something. This little girl barely sees her father. Not because he doesn't love her, not because he doesn't want to be there, but because my company has been stealing him from her. A tear slipped down Marcus's cheek. He wiped it away roughly. I have a daughter, he said, his voice hoarse. I have a daughter who asks me every night why I'm always so tired, who makes her own breakfast because I'm too exhausted to wake up, who learned to do her own laundry at 7 years old because her dad can't keep up. I know. No, you don't know. Marcus stood up, his chair scraping against the floor. You don't know what it's like to miss your kid's birthday party because your boss scheduled a mandatory shift. You don't know what it's like to promise your daughter you'll be at her soccer game and then have to call her from the factory floor to tell her you can't make it, again. You're right. Elena stood too. I don't know. I've never had children. Never had a family. I've spent the last 15 years building an empire, and I told myself that was enough." She paused. "It's not." They stood there facing each other across his tiny kitchen, two strangers connected by something neither of them fully understood. "What do you want from me?" Marcus asked finally. "Why are you really here?" "I want to make this right." "How? You can't give me back 2 years. You can't give me back the time I lost with my daughter." "No," Elena agreed. "But I can give you what you've earned." She pulled another document from the folder. A contract. "Senior Operations Manager," she said. 40% salary increase, full benefits, reasonable hours, a real chance to build something. Marcus stared at the paper. "Just like that, you wave your magic wand and suddenly I'm management. You've been doing management-level work for 2 years without the title or the pay. I'm not doing you a favor, Marcus. I'm correcting an injustice." "And what do you get out of this feel-good story for the company newsletter CEO saves struggling single dad?" Elena flinched. "That's not fair." "Isn't it?" Marcus stepped closer. "You said it yourself, you've been blind for years, and now suddenly you care. Forgive me if I'm skeptical about your timing." "You think I don't know how this looks?" Elena's voice rose. "You think I'm not disgusted with myself? I built that company with my own hands, and I let it become something that chews up good people and spits them out. Then why didn't you notice sooner?" "Because I stopped looking." The words exploded out of her. "I stopped walking the floors. I stopped talking to anyone who wasn't an executive. I convinced myself that if the numbers looked good, everything was fine." She was crying now, really crying, and Marcus felt something shift in his chest. "Numbers don't show you a man collapsing on his couch every night," Elena continued. "They don't show you someone choosing between groceries and rent. They don't show you a little girl eating cereal for dinner because her dad worked a double shift." "Stop." Marcus held up his hand. "Just stop." The kitchen fell silent, except for Elena's ragged breathing. Marcus walked to the sink she'd been standing at when he walked in, and gripped the edge of the counter. His knuckles went white. "My wife's name was Sarah," he said quietly. "She died 3 years ago. Ovarian cancer. Diagnosed in March, gone by September. Marcus, you don't have to. She made me promise something before she died." He turned to face Elena. "She made me promise that I would give Lily a good life, that I would be there for her, that I wouldn't let my grief turn me into a ghost." His voice broke. "And I've been failing her, Elena. Every day I've been failing her. I thought it was my fault. I thought I just wasn't strong enough, wasn't smart enough, wasn't good enough. It wasn't your fault. I know that now." Marcus wiped his eyes. "But knowing doesn't make it hurt less." Elena took a step toward him. "What can I do? Tell me what I can do." Before Marcus could answer, the front door opened. "Daddy." Marcus's heart stopped. Lily wasn't supposed to be home until tomorrow. Small footsteps padded down the hallway, and then his daughter appeared in the kitchen doorway still in her pajamas, dragging her stuffed rabbit Mr. Buttons. Karen appeared behind her looking apologetic. "Sorry, Marcus. She woke up with a tummy ache. Wanted to come home." Lily's eyes went wide as she spotted Elena. "Daddy, who's that?" Marcus's mind went blank. How do you explain this to a 7-year-old? This is Mrs. Harper. She works at my company." Lily tilted her head, studying Elena with the unfiltered curiosity only a child could manage. "How come she's in our kitchen? Are you having a meeting?" Elena knelt down, bringing herself to Lily's eye level. Her whole demeanor changed, softer, gentler, completely disarming. "Hi, Lily. Your dad and I were just talking about some work stuff. I'm sorry if I scared you." "It's okay." Lily clutched Mr. Buttons tighter. "I don't feel good." "I'm sorry to hear that. Tummy aches are the worst." Lily nodded seriously. Then she looked up at Elena with those wide, innocent eyes. "You're pretty. Are you Daddy's friend?" Something flickered across Elena's face. Surprise. Then a softness Marcus had never seen before. "I'd like to be," Elena said gently. "If that's okay with you." Lily considered this for a moment. Then she nodded. "Okay. Daddy doesn't have many friends. He's always too tired." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Out of the mouths of children came truths you couldn't escape. Karen caught Marcus's eye from the doorway. He could see the questions written all over her face, but she kept them to herself. "I'll get her some ginger ale," Karen said. "Marcus, can I talk to you for a second?" Marcus followed his sister into the living room, leaving Elena and Lily in the kitchen. Through the doorway, he could see Elena showing Lily something on her phone, probably pictures. Judging by Lily's delighted giggle, it was working. "What the hell is going on?" Karen whispered. "That's Elena Harper, the Elena Harper. Why is she in your house?" "It's complicated." "Marcus." Karen gripped his arm. "Is everything okay? Are you in trouble?" "No. Maybe. I don't know." He ran a hand through his hair. "She found out some things about work, bad things, and she's trying to fix them." Karen's eyes narrowed. "What kind of bad things? The kind that explain why I've been working myself to death for nothing." His sister's expression shifted from confusion to fury. "Are you telling me they've been screwing you over? For 2 years, my supervisor's been stealing, falsifying my reviews, making sure I never got promoted." "Those bastards." Karen looked back toward the kitchen, where Lily's laughter rang out again. "And she came here to tell you that, personally?" "Yeah." "Huh." Karen studied his face for a long moment. "You know what I like her." "Karen?" "I'm serious. She could have sent a lawyer, could have had HR handle it, but she showed up herself." Karen squeezed his arm. "That takes guts. Or it's a PR stunt." "Maybe, but the way she's looking at Lily right now..." Karen shook her head. "That's not fake, trust me. I know fake when I see it." They returned to find Lily sitting at the kitchen table with Elena. Both of them were drawing on the back of some scrap paper Elena had found. "Look, Daddy." Lily held up her paper. "I'm teaching her how to draw butterflies." "Magic butterflies," Elena added, holding up her own drawing. "Apparently they grant wishes, but only if you're really, really nice." "That's a good rule." Marcus said, his voice softer than he intended. Lily nodded seriously. "The best rule." Karen cleared her throat. "I'm gonna head out. Call me tomorrow, okay?" After his sister left, Marcus stood in the doorway, watching his daughter and the CEO of Harper Industries draw butterflies together like it was the most natural thing in the world. "What kind of wish would you make?" Elena asked Lily. Lily thought for a moment, her crayon pausing mid-stroke. "I'd wish for Daddy to not be so tired anymore," she said. "And maybe a puppy. But mostly the first one." Elena's hand stilled on the paper. She looked up at Marcus, and the expression in her eyes made his chest ache. "That's a really good wish," Elena said softly. Lily yawned, and Elena noticed immediately. "I think someone needs to get to bed," Elena said. "But I'm not sleepy," Lily protested, even as another yawn betrayed her. Marcus stepped forward. "Come on, kiddo, let's get you tucked in." Lily looked between Marcus and Elena. "Will you still be here when I wake up?" Elena glanced at Marcus, uncertainty crossing her face. I don't know, sweetheart." "I hope so," Lily said simply. "I like you." The words hung in the air, pure and honest and completely devastating. After Marcus put Lily to bed, 3 stories, 2 glasses of water, and 1 extended negotiation about whether Mr. Buttons needed his own pillow, he returned to find Elena cleaning up the drawings. She'd folded Lily's butterfly carefully and set it aside. "She's incredible," Elena said quietly. "You've done an amazing job with her. Most days I feel like I'm barely keeping it together." "That's called being a parent." Elena smiled sadly. "Or so I imagine. No kids of your own." "No husband, no kids, No life outside of work, really. She looked down at the butterfly drawing in her hands. I'm 34 years old, and I can't remember the last time someone looked at me the way your daughter just did. Like I was worth something beyond my job title. Marcus felt something shift in his chest. This wasn't the untouchable CEO anymore. This was just a woman who'd built walls so high, she'd forgotten how to let anyone in. The job offer, he said slowly. Is it real? Or is this some kind of corporate liability thing? It's real. I've already drafted the paperwork. Elena met his eyes. But Marcus, I won't pressure you. If you want nothing to do with me or the company after tonight, I'll understand. I'll still make the changes. I'll still make sure you're compensated for what was done to you. But I think you could help me fix this. Not just for yourself, for everyone else stuck in the same trap. She paused. I need someone who understands what it's really like down there. Someone who won't let me become blind again. Marcus stared at her for a long moment. I need time, he said finally. It's a lot. Of course. Elena picked up her bag. Take all the time you need. She moved toward the door, then paused. Marcus, for what it's worth, thank you. For letting me stay. For not throwing me out the moment I turned around. Why did you wash my dishes? The question surprised both of them. Elena turned back her hand on the doorknob. Because when I walked in here and saw them in the sink, I thought about you coming home after a 16-hour shift. I thought about you being too exhausted to clean up after yourself. And She shook her head. I needed to do something. Something real. Something that wasn't about numbers or contracts or corporate strategy. That's insane. I know. CEOs don't wash dishes. This one did. Elena opened the door. Good night, Marcus. After she left, Marcus stood in his quiet kitchen for a long time. He looked at the butterfly drawing on his table, at the dishes drying in the rack, at the folder full of evidence that his entire world had been built on lies. For the first time in 2 years, he felt something he'd almost forgotten existed. Hope. It was terrifying. It was also the most alive he'd felt since Sarah died. He picked up the butterfly drawing and walked to the refrigerator. With a magnet shaped like a slice of pizza, Lily had picked it out at a garage sale last summer. He pinned the drawing to the door. Then he pulled out his phone and stared at the number Elena had written on the back of the contract. He didn't call. Not yet. But for the first time in a very long time, Marcus Reed went to sleep believing that tomorrow might actually be different. Marcus didn't sleep that night. He lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every word Elena Harper had said. Every accusation, every confession, every crack in her armor that revealed the woman underneath the CEO. 2 years, 730 days of believing he was the problem. At 3 a.m., he got up and walked to the kitchen. The butterfly drawing was still on the refrigerator, held up by that ridiculous pizza magnet. He stared at it for a long time, then opened the folder Elena had left behind. The evidence was damning. Bank statements showing direct deposits into accounts that didn't belong to any real employees. Payroll records with names he'd never heard of. And his performance reviews side-by-side comparisons of what Richard had reported versus the actual data. 0.3% error rate versus 12%. Marcus's hands shook as he turned the pages. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. I know you're awake. I couldn't sleep either. Take your time with the decision. But know that whatever you choose, the investigation moves forward tomorrow. Elena. He didn't respond. He didn't know what to say. At 5 a.m., Lily padded into the kitchen, still clutching Mr. Buttons. Daddy, why are you up? Marcus quickly closed the folder. Just couldn't sleep, baby girl. How's your tummy? Better. Lily climbed into the chair across from him. Is the pretty lady coming back? I don't know. I hope she does. Lily yawned. She was nice. She really listened when I talked. Marcus felt his chest tighten. Yeah. What did you guys talk about? Butterflies. and wishes. And she asked me about school and soccer and my favorite color. Lily hugged Mr. Buttons closer. Most grown-ups don't ask that stuff. They just talk to you like you're not really there. Out of the mouths of children. Go back to bed, sweetheart. It's still early. Will you tuck me in again? Of course. After Lily was settled, Marcus stood in her doorway, watching her drift back to sleep. Her room was small, barely bigger than a closet, but she'd covered every inch with drawings and stickers and photos. A picture of Sarah sat on the nightstand. Lily talked to it every night before bed. I'm trying, Marcus whispered to the photograph. I'm trying so hard, Sarah, but I don't know what to do anymore. The photograph didn't answer. It never did. Marcus went back to the kitchen and picked up his phone. He stared at Elena's text for a long moment, then typed a response. What time does the investigation start? The reply came immediately. 8 a.m. Richard doesn't know yet. Marcus looked at the clock. 3 hours. I want to be there. A pause. Then, are you sure I need to see his face when he realizes it's over? Another pause. I'll send a car at 7:30. Marcus set down his phone. His hands had stopped shaking. For the first time in 2 years, he wasn't afraid. He was angry. The car arrived at exactly 7:30, a sleek black sedan that looked completely out of place on his street. Karen had come over early to watch Lily asking 1,000 questions that Marcus promised to answer later. Just trust me, he'd told her. Everything's about to change. The driver didn't speak during the ride to Harper Industries. Marcus watched the city slide past the window, thinking about all the mornings he'd taken the bus to this same building. All the evenings he'd stumbled home too exhausted to see straight. Today was different. Today he wasn't going as a worker. He was going as a witness. Elena met him in the lobby. She was back in CEO mode, power suit hair, pulled back expression unreadable. But when their eyes met, something flickered across her face. Thank you for coming, she said quietly. I need this. I know. She handed him a visitor's badge. The audit team is already in position. HR is standing by. Legal counsel is in the conference room. She paused. Richard's been called to a meeting at 8. He thinks it's about quarterly projections. Does he suspect anything? No. He's been operating in the shadows so long he forgot what the light looks like. They walked to the elevator together. Marcus was acutely aware of the stares from the front desk staff, the security guards, the early morning executives getting their coffee. What was Elena Harper doing with a floor technician? Let them wonder. The conference room on the executive floor was cold and sterile. A long table, a dozen chairs, a wall of windows overlooking the city. 3 people were already seated, a woman in a gray suit who introduced herself as Sandra from HR, a man with glasses who was the head of internal audit, and a lawyer whose name Marcus immediately forgot. Mr. Reed, Sandra said, standing to shake his hand. Ms. Harper has briefed us on your situation. I want you to know that what happened to you was a profound failure on our part. We're committed to making it right. Making it right would mean giving me back 2 years of my life. Sandra's smile faltered. We understand your frustration. No, you don't. Marcus sat down at the end of the table. But that's okay. I'm not here for apologies. I'm here to watch. At exactly 8 a.m. the door opened. Richard Crane walked in. Marcus had seen Richard 1,000 times, always barking orders, always finding fault, always making sure everyone knew he was in charge. But seeing him now in this room surrounded by executives and lawyers, Marcus felt something shift. Richard wasn't powerful. He was small. Good morning, Richard said, straightening his tie. Elena, I didn't realize this was going to be a full committee meeting. If you'd told me, I would have brought the quarterly... He stopped mid-sentence. His eyes had found Marcus. What's he doing here? Elena's voice was ice. Sit down, Richard. I don't understand. This is an executive meeting. He's a floor technician. He doesn't have clearance to... I said sit down. Something in Elena's tone made Richard obey. He sank into the chair across from Marcus, his eyes darting between the faces around the table. What is this about? The head of audit slid a folder across the table. Mr. Crane, we'd like to discuss some irregularities in your department's payroll records. Richard's face went pale, just for a second. Then he recovered, forcing a laugh. Irregularities. I'm sure there's been some kind of mistake. You know how complicated payroll can be with all the overtime and shift differentials. We found 3 employees on your payroll who don't exist. The room went silent. Richard's smile froze. That's absurd. Every employee in my department is fully vetted. I personally... Thomas Green, Michael Foster, David Washington. The auditor read the names from the file. According to your records, these 3 technicians have been employed in your department for 2 years. They've received regular paychecks, benefits, and performance bonuses. He looked up. The problem is, no one has ever seen them, because they're not real. Richard's mask slipped. Marcus saw it, the flash of fear, the calculation behind his eyes, the desperate scramble for an explanation. There must be some mistake in the system, a glitch. I'll personally look into... The deposits went into 3 bank accounts. The auditor pulled out another document. All 3 accounts were opened on the same day, at the same branch, by the same person. He paused. You? That's not... I would never... We have security footage from the bank. We have your signature on the account applications. We have 2 years of direct deposits totaling over $200,000. Richard stood up so fast his chair fell backward. This is a setup. Someone's trying to frame me. He pointed at Marcus. It's him, isn't it? He's had it out for me since day one. He's been planning this. Sit down, Mr. Crane. Elena's voice cut through his panic like a blade. Elena, you have to believe me. I've given this company 15 years. 15 years of loyal service. This man is nobody. He's just a grunt, He's the best technician in this company. Elena stood, and even though she was shorter than Richard, she seemed to tower over him. 0.3% error rate. The lowest in any department. The lowest in our entire history. She stepped closer. But you wouldn't know that, would you? Because you've been reporting his rate as 12%. Keeping him stuck. Keeping him invisible. Keeping him working 16-hour shifts to cover the jobs you were collecting paychecks for. Richard's face twisted. You don't understand how hard it is down there. The pressure I'm under. The impossible targets you set. I set targets. You committed fraud. I did what I had to do to survive. You stole from this company. You stole from your employees. You stole 2 years from a single father who was just trying to give his daughter a good life. Elena's voice cracked. And you did it while I was too blind to see. The room fell silent. Richard looked around the table, searching for an ally, finding none. What happens now? He asked quietly. The lawyer spoke for the first time. You're suspended immediately pending criminal investigation. The authorities have already been notified. We recommend you contact your own legal counsel. You're firing me. You're lucky we're not having you arrested right here. Elena nodded to the security guard who had appeared in the doorway. Please escort Mr. Crane to his office to collect his personal belongings. He has 30 minutes. Richard didn't move. He stared at Marcus, and something ugly flickered in his eyes. You think you've won, he hissed. You think this changes anything? You're still nothing. You'll always be nothing. Marcus stood slowly. He was taller than Richard, broader, and for the first time he wasn't afraid. I'm a father, Marcus said quietly. I'm a damn good technician, and I'm the man who's going to help make sure no one else ever goes through what you put me through. He stepped closer, and Richard flinched. So yeah, I'd say I've won. Security led Richard away. His shoulders were hunched, his swagger gone. He looked exactly like what he was, a small man caught in a big lie. After he was gone, Elena turned to Marcus. How do you feel? I don't know. Marcus sat back down, his legs suddenly weak. I thought it would feel better. I thought I'd feel vindicated. And you don't. I feel tired. He looked up at her. I've been carrying this weight for so long, and now it's gone, and I don't know who I am without it. Elena sat in the chair beside him. The executives had filed out, giving them privacy. When I built this company, she said softly, I thought I was changing the world, creating jobs, building something that mattered. She paused. Somewhere along the way, I forgot why I started. I became someone I don't recognize. So, what do we do now? We rebuild. Elena reached into her bag and pulled out the contract she'd shown him last night. But I can't do it alone. I need someone who understands what it's like on the ground, someone who's lived through the failures of this system and can help me fix them. Marcus stared at the paper. Senior Operations Manager, 40% raise, real benefits, reasonable hours. If I take this job, he said slowly, I'm not going to be easy on you. I don't want easy. I'm going to push back, challenge you, tell you things you don't want to hear. Good. Elena met his eyes. That's exactly what I need. Marcus picked up the pen. His hand hovered over the signature line. My daughter asked if you were coming back, he said. Something shifted in Elena's expression. What did you tell her? I said I didn't know. Marcus looked up. Was I wrong? Elena was quiet for a long moment. I haven't been able to stop thinking about her, about that butterfly she drew, about the way she said she liked me. Her voice wavered. I'm 34 years old, Marcus. I've closed deals worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I've been on the cover of Forbes. I've stood in front of thousands of people and never felt nervous. She paused. But that little girl terrifies me. Why? Because she sees me, not the CEO, not the title, just me. Elena wiped at her eyes. I don't remember the last time anyone saw me like that. Marcus signed the contract. Come to dinner, he said. Tomorrow night. Nothing fancy. Just me and Lily and whatever I can manage to cook without burning. Elena's eyes widened. Marcus, I don't know if that's... I'm not asking you as my boss. I'm asking you as someone who could use a friend, and so could you. She stared at him for a long moment. The CEO mask cracked, and underneath it, Marcus saw something fragile, something hopeful, something that maybe hadn't been allowed to breathe in a very long time. Okay, she whispered. Tomorrow night. The news of Richard's termination spread through Harper Industries like wildfire. By noon, everyone knew. By afternoon, the rumors had grown into legends. Some said Richard had been caught stealing millions. Some said he'd been running a secret operation. Some said the CEO herself had discovered the fraud and fired him in front of the entire executive board. None of them knew the whole truth. Not yet. Marcus spent the day in meetings, HR briefings, onboarding paperwork, introductions to the management team. His new office was on the 4th floor, twice the size of the break room where he used to eat lunch. It didn't feel real. At 5 p.m., he cleaned out his old locker in the technician's changing room. His coworkers watched with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion. So it's true, one of them said, a guy named Derek who'd worked beside Marcus for 3 years. They promoted you. Yeah. To management. Senior Operations Manager. Derek shook his head. Man, how'd you swing that? You kiss someone's ass or what? Marcus felt his jaw tighten. I did my job. For 2 years. That's how I swung it. Right. Derek snorted. And the CEO just happened to notice you out of nowhere. Sure. You want to know what really happened? Marcus turned to face him. Richard Crane was stealing from the company. He was collecting paychecks for employees who didn't exist and making us cover the work. Every overtime shift you pulled, every double you worked, every time you missed your kid's birthday. That was because Richard was pocketing the money that should have been used to hire more people. Derek's smirk faded. What? He was falsifying our performance reviews too. keeping us stuck at the bottom so we'd never get promoted, never ask questions. Marcus closed his locker. So no, I didn't kiss anyone's ass. I just happened to be the one whose file landed on the CEO's desk when she finally decided to look. The locker room was silent. Is that true? Another technician asked. A woman named Maria, who had 2 kids and always looked as exhausted as Marcus felt. About the stolen money. All of it. Marcus turned to face the room. And I'm going to make sure it never happens again. That's my job now. That's why they promoted me. He paused. If any of you have been through something similar, if you've been exploited or underpaid or mistreated, come talk to me. My door's open. He walked out of the locker room without looking back. Karen was waiting in the parking lot, Lily bouncing in the back seat of her car. Daddy? Lily launched herself at him the moment he opened the door. Aunt Karen said you got a new job. Does that mean you won't be tired anymore? Marcus held her tight. Yeah, baby girl. That's exactly what it means. And can we get a puppy now? Let's start with not being tired. We'll work up to the puppy. Karen was studying his face. You okay? You look different. I feel different. Marcus set Lily down and turned to his sister. It's over, Karen. Everything that's been crushing me for 2 years, it's over. And this CEO woman, she really came through. She really came through. Marcus hesitated. She's coming to dinner tomorrow night. Karen's eyebrows shot up. Excuse me. It's not like that. We're just... Daddy invited the pretty lady for dinner. Lily was practically vibrating with excitement. Can I show her my room? Can I show her my butterfly collection? Can I... Yes to all of it. Marcus laughed and the sound surprised him. He hadn't laughed like that in months. But first we need to clean the apartment, and I need to figure out how to cook something that won't poison anyone. That night, after Lily was asleep, Marcus sat at the kitchen table with his phone in his hand. He scrolled through his contacts until he found the name he was looking for. Sarah. He'd never been able to delete it. 3 years later, and her number was still there. I don't know if you can hear me, he said quietly to the empty kitchen. But something happened. Something big. And I think things are going to be okay now. His thumb hovered over the call button. He knew what he'd hear if he pressed it. The automated voice saying the number was no longer in service. He'd called it 100 times in the first year after she died, just to hear her name in the voicemail greeting. Eventually, they'd disconnected the line. I met someone, Marcus continued. Not like that, not yet, but she's different. She saw Lily, and she didn't just see a kid. She saw our daughter. Your daughter. His voice cracked. She drew butterflies with her Sarah, sat on our kitchen floor, and drew butterflies like it was the most important thing in the world. The kitchen was silent. I'm not replacing you. I could never replace you. But I think maybe it's okay to start living again. He wiped his eyes. I think maybe that's what you'd want. He put down the phone. On the refrigerator, the butterfly drawing seemed to glow in the dim light. Marcus stood, walked to the fridge, and touched the paper gently. Magic butterflies that grant wishes, he murmured. Maybe they really did. Marcus burned the chicken. Of course he did. He'd been too nervous to focus, checking the clock every 5 minutes, rearranging the same 3 forks on the table, trying to remember the last time he'd cooked for anyone other than Lily. Daddy, something smells weird, Lily announced from the living room where she'd been organizing her toys into presentable piles. It's fine. Everything's fine. It was not fine. Marcus pulled the chicken from the oven and stared at the charred remains of what was supposed to be a simple roast. The vegetables had somehow turned out both mushy and undercooked. The only thing he hadn't ruined was the store-bought bread, and even that was slightly stale. Maybe we should order pizza, he muttered. The doorbell rang. She's here, Lily sprinted toward the door before Marcus could stop her. "I'll get it." "Lily, wait." Too late. His daughter yanked open the door with the enthusiasm of a 7-year-old who'd been counting down the hours. Elena stood on the threshold holding a bakery box and looking completely out of place in her designer jeans and cashmere sweater. Her hair was down, falling soft around her shoulders. She looked younger than she did at the office. More uncertain. "Hi," Lily said breathlessly. "I've been waiting forever. Daddy's been really nervous. He burned the chicken." "Lily." Marcus appeared behind his daughter, his face flushed from the heat of the kitchen and the embarrassment of his 7-year-old's brutal honesty. Elena's lips twitched. "Burned chicken happens to the best of us." "You came." Lily grabbed Elena's free hand and tugged her inside. "Come see my room. I cleaned it special. Well, Daddy helped, but I did most of it." Lily let her breathe for a second. "It's okay." Elena set down the bakery box and allowed herself to be pulled toward the hallway. She glanced back at Marcus, something soft in her eyes. "I'll be right back." Marcus watched them disappear into Lily's room, his daughter's excited chatter echoing through the small apartment. He heard Elena asking genuine questions about the drawings on the wall, about the stuffed animals, about the butterfly collection Lily had started last summer. She wasn't performing. She wasn't just being polite. She actually cared. Marcus looked at the disaster in his kitchen and made a decision. "Hey," he called down the hall. "How do you two feel about pizza?" Lily's head popped out of her doorway. "Really? We never have pizza on weekdays." "Special occasion." "What's the occasion?" Marcus looked at Elena, who had appeared behind Lily. "New friends." They ordered 2 large pizzas and ate them at the kitchen table, which was far too small for 3 people, but somehow felt exactly right. Lily dominated the conversation, telling Elena about her school, her soccer team, her best friend Madison, who had a hamster named Sir Fluffington. Elena listened to every word like it was the most fascinating information she'd ever heard. "And then Madison said that Sir Fluffington could do tricks, but I don't think hamsters can really do tricks." "Do you think hamsters can do tricks?" "I've never had a hamster," Elena admitted. "But I had a goldfish once. His name was Gerald." "Did Gerald do tricks?" "He swam in circles. Does that count?" Lily considered this seriously. "I think that's just regular fish stuff." "You're probably right." Elena reached for another slice of pizza. "What about you? Do you have any pets?" "No." Lily's face fell slightly. "I want a puppy, but Daddy says we're not ready yet." Marcus felt a familiar pang of guilt. He'd been saying "not ready yet" for 2 years. "Getting a puppy is a big decision," Elena said carefully. "They need a lot of attention and time. Your dad's been working really hard to take care of you. Maybe now that things are changing you can talk about it again." Lily's eyes went wide. "Really?" She turned to Marcus. "Daddy, can we?" Elena said. Elena said maybe we can talk about it. Marcus gave Elena a look that was half grateful, half terrified. "Let's get through this week first, okay?" "Okay." Lily bounced in her seat. "But you promised we'd talk about it." "I said maybe." "That means yes." After dinner, Lily insisted on showing Elena her prized possession, a shoebox filled with dried flowers and leaves she'd collected over the past year. "This one's from the park where Mommy used to take me," Lily said, holding up a pressed daisy. "And this one's from Grandma's garden. And this one's from the day Daddy and I went hiking. And I found a 4-leaf clover, but then I lost it, so I just kept a regular leaf instead." Elena examined each item with appropriate reverence. "These are beautiful, Lily. You've been collecting for a long time." "Since Mommy went to heaven." Lily's voice was matter-of-fact, the way children talk about grief when they've had to learn it too young. "She used to press flowers with me, so I kept doing it so I wouldn't forget." Marcus felt his chest tighten. He leaned against the doorframe watching his daughter share her most precious memories with a woman she'd met only days ago. "That's a wonderful way to remember her," Elena said softly, Keeping traditions alive is one of the best ways to honor someone we've lost. Do you have anyone in heaven? The question hung in the air. Elena was quiet for a moment. My mother, she said finally. She passed away when I was 19. Do you miss her? Every day. Lily nodded solemnly, like this answer satisfied something deep inside her. I miss Mommy every day too. But Daddy says that's okay because it means we loved her really big. Your daddy sounds very wise. He's the best daddy. Lily looked up at Elena with those clear, honest eyes. Even when he's tired and grumpy, he's still the best. He always reads me stories even when he can barely keep his eyes open. And he makes my lunch even though he has to leave super early for work. And he never forgets to say he loves me before bed. Elena's eyes glistened. She glanced at Marcus, who was still standing in the doorway, his own eyes suspiciously bright. I can see that, Elena said quietly. You're very lucky to have each other. Lily yawned, and Marcus took that as his cue. Time for bed, baby girl. But Elena just got here. Elena's going to be around more. The words came out before Marcus could stop them. He looked at Elena, suddenly uncertain. Right. Elena met his gaze. Right. The bedtime routine took longer than usual. Lily insisted on 3 stories instead of 2, and demanded that Elena pick the last one. Elena chose Where the Wild Things Are, reading with a softness that made Marcus's heart ache. After Lily was finally asleep, Marcus and Elena retreated to the living room. They sat on opposite ends of the couch, a careful distance between them. She's extraordinary, Elena said, her voice still hushed. I've never met a child like her. She's been through a lot, losing Sarah. Marcus trailed off. She was only 4. She barely remembers her mother, and that kills me. I try to keep Sarah alive for her photo stories, her favorite songs, but it's not the same. It's not supposed to be the same. Elena turned to face him. You're not trying to replace Sarah. You're trying to help Lily know who her mother was. That's a gift, Marcus, not a burden. Some days it feels like both. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Through the thin walls, they could hear the neighbor's TV playing a late-night talk show. Normal life continuing all around them, while something extraordinary was happening in this small apartment. Can I ask you something? Elena said. Anything. When your wife died, how did you survive it? Marcus was quiet for a long moment. It wasn't a question he'd expected. I didn't, he said finally. Not at first. The first 6 months I was a ghost. I went through the motions, work, Lily, sleep, repeat, but I wasn't really there. I'd forget to eat for days. I'd drive to work and not remember how I got there. What changed, Lily? Marcus smiled sadly. She had a nightmare one night about 6 months after Sarah died. Came running into my room crying, saying she'd dreamed that I'd gone to heaven too, that she was all alone. Elena's hand moved slightly toward him, then stopped. I held her, Marcus continued, and I realized that I wasn't just surviving for myself anymore. I had this little girl who needed me, really needed me, and I was failing her. Sarah would never have forgiven me if I'd let grief destroy Lily's childhood. So you pulled yourself back. Day by day, minute by minute sometimes. He looked at Elena. Why do you ask? Elena was quiet for so long that Marcus thought she might not answer. Because I don't know how to do that, she finally said. I've spent my entire adult life running from pain, building walls, burying myself in work so I never had to feel anything. She paused. When my mother died, I didn't take a single day off. I went straight back to class, straight back to my internship, straight back to building the empire that would eventually become Harper Industries. You were 19. I was alone. My father left when I was 12. No siblings, no close friends. Just me. Elena's voice cracked. And I told myself that was fine, that I didn't need anyone, that needing people was weakness. Marcus shifted closer on the couch. not touching her, but close enough that she could feel his presence. "You're not alone now," he said quietly. Elena looked at him, and Marcus saw something in her eyes that terrified him. Vulnerability. Hope. And underneath it all, a desperate need to believe that what he said was true. "I don't know how to do this," she whispered. "Any of this. The friendship, the dinner, whatever this is between us. I don't have a roadmap." "Neither do I. But you had Sarah. You know what it's like to love someone, to build a life with them. And I know what it's like to lose them." Marcus took a breath. "Elena, I'm not looking for a replacement for my wife. I'm not looking for a mother for Lily. I'm just—" He struggled to find the words. "I'm just tired of being alone. And something about you makes me feel like I don't have to be." The words hung in the air between them. Elena's phone buzzed, shattering the moment. She glanced at it, her expression shifting back to business mode. "I'm sorry I have to take this." She stood walking toward the kitchen. "Harper speaking." Marcus could hear the murmur of her voice, but not the words. He watched her pace, her free hand gesturing as she spoke, the CEO mask sliding back into place with practiced ease. 5 minutes later she returned. Her face was troubled. "What's wrong?" "That was legal counsel. Richard Crane is claiming wrongful termination. He's hired a lawyer and he's threatening to sue the company for damages." Marcus felt his stomach drop. "Can he do that?" "He can try." Elena sat back down, but the softness from earlier was gone, replaced by a hard edge. "His lawyer is arguing that the evidence was obtained improperly, that we violated his privacy rights by accessing his personal banking information." "But you said you had everything documented." "We do, but lawsuits aren't about truth, Marcus. They're about leverage. Richard knows he's guilty. He's not trying to win. He's trying to make this as painful as possible for us, hoping we'll settle just to make him go away." "So, what do we do?" Elena looked at him. "We fight. We don't back down. We show him and everyone else that Harper Industries doesn't protect criminals, no matter how messy it gets. And if other employees find out, the ones like me who were exploited, won't that make them afraid to come forward?" Elena was quiet for a moment. "That's exactly why we can't settle. If we let Richard bully us into silence, we send a message that abusers can buy their way out of accountability." She met his eyes. "This is exactly what I need you for. As senior operations manager, you'll be the face of the investigation. The proof that we're not just paying lip service to reform. You want me to testify? I want you to tell your story. To the board. To the employees. To anyone who needs to hear it." Elena leaned forward. "Marcus, what happened to you isn't unique. I've found 12 other cases just like yours across different departments. 12 people being exploited. 12 families suffering." She paused. "But you're the only one who was brave enough to let me into your kitchen." Marcus thought about the folder of evidence, the falsified reviews, the 16-hour shifts, the 2 years of believing he was worthless. "Okay," he said. "I'll do it. I'll tell my story." Elena's expression softened. "Thank you. But I have conditions." "Name them." "First, those 12 people you found, I want to meet them. I want to hear their stories, and I want to make sure they get the same opportunities I'm getting." "Done." "Second, I want regular access to the floor. I won't be one of those managers who hides in an office and forgets where he came from." "Done." "Third," Marcus hesitated. This was the hard one. "I need you to promise me something." "What?" "Don't disappear." He met her eyes. "I know you're busy. I know the company is going through a crisis. But Lily, she's already attached to you. If you're going to be part of our lives, you need to really be part of our lives, not just when it's convenient." Elena was silent for a long moment. "Marcus, I don't know if I can promise that. I've never been part of anyone's life, not really. I don't know how to—" "You showed up tonight. You read my daughter a bedtime story. You listened to her talk about her dead mother and her flower collection, and her dreams of getting a puppy. Marcus reached out and took her hand. You already know how. You're just scared. Elena looked down at their joined hands. Her fingers trembled slightly. I am scared, she admitted. I'm terrified that I'll mess this up. That I'll hurt you or Lily or both of you. That you'll see who I really am and realize I'm not worth the trouble. Let me tell you who I think you really are. Marcus squeezed her hand. I think you're someone who's been lonely for so long, you forgot what connection feels like. I think you built walls because getting hurt seemed worse than being alone. And I think you showed up at my house that night, not because you felt guilty, but because somewhere deep down, you were looking for permission to be human again. A tear slipped down Elena's cheek. She didn't wipe it away. How do you see me so clearly? Because I see myself. Marcus smiled sadly. After Sarah died, I built my own walls. I convinced myself that work was enough, that Lily was enough, that I didn't need anything else. But walls don't protect you, Elena. They just make you forget what you're missing. The apartment was quiet. Somewhere down the hall, Lily murmured in her sleep. I should go, Elena said softly. It's late. Yeah. But neither of them moved. Marcus. Yeah. I want to come back. Tomorrow night. The night after that. I want... She stopped as if the words were too big for her mouth. I want to be part of this. Whatever this is. Even if it's messy. Especially if it's messy. Elena stood, but she didn't let go of his hand. I've had clean and perfect my whole life. Clean apartments. Perfect quarterly reports. Flawless presentations. She looked at him. But tonight was the best night I've had in years. Burned chicken and all. Marcus walked her to the door. They stood there, neither wanting to be the first to let go. Good night, Elena. Good night, Marcus. She turned to leave, then stopped. That thing Lily said, about you being the best daddy, even when you're tired and grumpy. Yeah. She's right. Elena's voice was barely above a whisper. You are. And then she was gone, leaving Marcus alone in his doorway, his heart pounding, the smell of burned chicken still lingering in the air. He closed the door and leaned against it, trying to catch his breath. From down the hall, a small voice called out, Daddy! Marcus pushed off the door and walked to Lily's room. His daughter was sitting up in bed, rubbing her eyes. I heard you guys talking. Is Elena gone? Yeah, baby, she just left. Is she coming back? Marcus sat on the edge of her bed, brushing hair from her face. Yes, he said. She's coming back. Lily smiled sleepily. Good, I like her. I know you do. Do you like her, Daddy? Marcus thought about Elena's trembling hands, her tears, her confession that she didn't know how to be part of anyone's life. Yeah, he said quietly. I like her. Like her. Like how you liked Mommy. Leave it to a 7-year-old to cut straight to the heart of things. It's different, Marcus said carefully. No one could ever replace Mommy. But I think maybe my heart is big enough to care about someone new, too. Lily considered this with the grave seriousness of a child processing big information. I think Mommy would be happy, she finally said. You do? She always wanted you to be happy. She told me so right before she went to heaven. She said, take care of Daddy and make sure he smiles sometimes. Marcus's throat tightened. She said that, and you haven't been smiling very much. But tonight you smiled a lot. Lily yawned. So I think Mommy would be happy about Elena. Marcus leaned down and kissed his daughter's forehead. When did you get so smart? I've always been smart, Daddy. You just don't listen sometimes. He laughed a real laugh, the kind that came from somewhere deep, and pulled the covers up to her chin. Good night, baby girl. Good night, Daddy. I love you. I love you too. More than anything. He turned off the lamp and walked back to the living room. The pizza boxes were still on the table. Elena's wine glass sat half empty next to his water. He didn't clean up. Not yet. Instead, he sat on the couch and pulled out his phone. Elena's name was now saved in his contacts. He stared at it for a long moment, then typed a message. "Thank you for tonight. Lily's already asking when you're coming back." The response came almost immediately. "So am I." Marcus smiled. It felt foreign on his face, like a muscle he'd forgotten how to use. Another message appeared. "And Marcus, I'm not going to disappear. I promise." He typed back. "I'm going to hold you to that. I'm counting on it. Good night." "Good night, Elena." He set down the phone and looked at the butterfly drawing on the refrigerator. Magic butterflies that grant wishes. Maybe they really did exist. Elena kept her promise. She came back the next night and the night after that. Within 2 weeks, she had become a fixture in Marcus's small apartment, not as the CEO of Harper Industries, but as something far more unexpected. A friend. A confidant. A woman learning to be human again. Lily adored her. That was the part Marcus hadn't anticipated. His daughter, who was usually shy around strangers, had latched onto Elena with a ferocity that surprised everyone. "Elena, look at this," became the most common phrase in the apartment. "Elena, watch me do a cartwheel." "Elena, can you braid my hair like you did yesterday?" And Elena, the woman who controlled a billion-dollar empire, would drop everything to watch a crooked cartwheel or attempt a braid that always came out lopsided. "You're spoiling her," Marcus said one evening, watching Elena help Lily with her math homework. "She deserves to be spoiled. She's going to expect this level of attention from everyone now." Elena looked up at him, something soft in her eyes. Would that be such a bad thing, expecting to be valued? Marcus didn't have an answer for that. At work, things were more complicated. The lawsuit from Richard Crane had become a full-blown crisis. His lawyers were aggressive, filing motion after motion, demanding documents, depositions, discovery. The legal fees were mounting. The board was getting nervous. "Maybe we should settle," one of the board members suggested during a tense meeting. "Make this go away quietly." "No." Elena's voice cut through the room like a blade. "We don't settle with criminals." "Elena, be reasonable. The negative publicity alone." I said no. She stood, placing both hands on the table. "Richard Crane stole from this company. He exploited our employees. He destroyed lives. If we settle, we send a message that money can buy your way out of accountability. And if we lose, we won't lose." Elena turned to Marcus, who was sitting at the far end of the table. "Tell them." Marcus felt every eye in the room shift to him. These were executives, board members, people who'd never set foot on the factory floor. They looked at him like he was an exhibit in a museum. "I worked for Richard Crane for 2 years, Marcus said, his voice steady. "He falsified my performance reviews. He stole wages meant for employees who didn't exist. He scheduled me for 16-hour shifts while collecting 3 extra salaries for himself. We're aware of the allegations." "They're not allegations." Marcus stood, mimicking Elena's posture without realizing it. "I have the evidence, payroll records, bank statements, 2 years of documented abuse." He looked around the table. "I missed my daughter's birthday last year because Richard scheduled a mandatory shift he didn't need to schedule. I couldn't afford to take her to the doctor when she had the flu because Richard was paying me half of what I'd earned. I collapsed on my kitchen floor one night because I was so exhausted I couldn't make it to my bed." The room was silent. "That's what we're fighting for," Marcus continued. "Not pride, not money. Justice. For me. For the 12 other employees we've identified. For everyone who's ever been chewed up by a system that was supposed to protect them." He sat back down. His hands were shaking under the table. Elena caught his eye and nodded slightly. Pride. Gratitude. Something else he couldn't name. The board voted unanimously to continue fighting. After the meeting, Elena found Marcus in his office. He was staring out the window, his tie loosened, his jacket thrown over a chair. "You were incredible in there," she said, closing the door behind her. "I was terrified." "That's what made it incredible." She crossed the room and stood beside him. "You spoke from the heart. That's something none of those executives know how to do anymore." "Is it always like this? Board meetings, lawyers, everyone watching every move you make?" "Always." Elena's voice was tired. "I've been in rooms like that for 15 years. You learn to perform. To say the right things, make the right faces, never let them see you sweat." "That sounds exhausting." "It is." She turned to face him. "But today was different. Today, I wasn't performing. Because you were there." Marcus looked at her. Really looked at her. The woman standing beside him wasn't the CEO of Harper Industries. She was just Elena, tired, vulnerable, trying her best. "Come to dinner tonight," he said. "Lily's been asking about you all day. I have a call with the Tokyo office at 7. Cancel it." Elena's eyebrows rose. "You're asking me to cancel an international call?" "I'm asking you to have dinner with us. Tokyo can wait." She stared at him for a long moment. Then slowly she smiled. "Okay." That night, Lily announced that she wanted to learn how to make spaghetti. "From scratch?" Marcus asked, already dreading the mess. "From scratch, Elena. Do you know how to make spaghetti from scratch?" Elena, to her credit, didn't lie. "I've never actually made spaghetti. Any kind of spaghetti." "Never?" Lily's eyes went wide. "But you're a grown-up. Grown-ups know how to cook." "Not this grown-up. I eat a lot of takeout." "That's sad." "It really is." "Okay." Lily put her hands on her hips in a pose she'd definitely copied from someone. "Then we're all going to learn together. Daddy, look up a recipe on your phone." What followed was 2 hours of chaos, flour everywhere, sauce splattered on the walls, Lily covered head to toe in tomato, insisting she was helping. And Elena, the woman who commanded boardrooms, standing at Marcus's tiny stove with an apron tied crookedly around her waist, laughing harder than Marcus had ever seen her laugh. "I think I ruined it," she said, poking at a clump of pasta that had stuck together. "It's perfect," Lily declared, shoving a forkful into her mouth. "Best sketty ever." Marcus caught Elena's eye across the chaos. She was still laughing, flour dusted across her cheek, looking nothing like a CEO, and everything like someone he could spend the rest of his life with. The thought hit him like a freight train. He loved her. He was in love with Elena Harper. The realization must have shown on his face, because Elena's laughter faded, replaced by something questioning. "Marcus? You okay?" "Yeah." He cleared his throat. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just happy." Elena's expression softened. "Me too." After Lily was in bed, they sat on the couch like they did most nights now. Closer than before. Not quite touching, but aware of each other in a way that made the air feel electric. "Can I tell you something?" Elena said quietly. "Anything." "I canceled that Tokyo call tonight. Without hesitation. Without even thinking about it." She turned to look at him. "A month ago, I would never have done that. Work always came first. Always." "What changed?" "You. Lily. This." She gestured around the small apartment. "I used to think success meant building something bigger than myself. A company. A legacy. Something that would outlast me." She paused. "But sitting here eating terrible homemade spaghetti with flour in my hair? This is the happiest I've ever been." Marcus reached out and took her hand. Her fingers were cold, trembling slightly. "Elena, I need to tell you something." "What?" He opened his mouth, ready to say it. Ready to tell her he loved her, that she'd changed his life, that he wanted to build something real with her. His phone rang. The sound shattered the moment. Marcus glanced at the screen. "Karen." "Sorry, I should take this. She wouldn't call this late unless... Go. Marcus stepped into the kitchen. Hey, what's wrong? Karen's voice was tight. Have you been online tonight? No. Why? Marcus, something's happening. Someone leaked information about the Richard Crane case. It's all over social media. Marcus's blood went cold. What kind of information? Everything. The falsified reviews, the phantom employees, your name Marcus. They're using your name. Who leaked it? I don't know, but it's bad. There are reporters calling Harper Industries. Someone posted your home address on a message board. What? You need to call Elena, now. Marcus hung up and turned to find Elena already on her phone, her face pale. I just got a call from PR, she said. Someone leaked confidential documents to the press. Karen just told me. They posted my address online. Elena's expression hardened. Richard, it has to be Richard. Can he do that? He shouldn't have access to those documents anymore, but he had 2 years to copy files, create backups. She ran a hand through her hair. I should have seen this coming. What do we do? First, we get you somewhere safe. If your address is public, you and Lily could be targets for harassment. Or worse. I'm not running away. It's not running away. It's being smart. Elena grabbed his hands. Marcus, I can't protect you from crazy people on the internet, but I can make sure you're somewhere secure while we figure this out. Where would we even go? Elena hesitated. My place. It's a secure building. Doorman cameras, the works. You and Lily can stay there until this blows over. Your place. It's not. I'm not suggesting anything inappropriate. I have a guest room. 2 guest rooms, actually. She looked at him vulnerable and scared. I need to know you're safe. Both of you. Marcus thought about Lily asleep down the hall. Innocent. Unaware that her world was about to get turned upside down again. Okay, he said. Let me wake her up. Lily, to her credit, handled the sudden midnight move like an adventure. We're going to Elena's house for a sleepover. She clutched Mr. Buttons as Marcus buckled her into the car. This is the best night ever. It's not exactly a sleepover, baby girl. It's exactly a sleepover. Lily yawned. Are there going to be pancakes in the morning? Marcus looked at Elena, who was already behind the wheel. I'll figure out pancakes, Elena said. Elena's apartment was nothing like Marcus had imagined. He'd expected cold, clinical, the kind of minimalist perfection you saw in architecture magazines. Instead, he found a space that was clearly lived in, but rarely enjoyed. Books stacked on end tables, a half-dead plant by the window, a refrigerator that, when Elena opened it to find something for Lily, contained exactly 3 items: a bottle of wine leftover takeout and a questionable container of yogurt. I told you I eat a lot of takeout, Elena said, embarrassed. This is sad, Lily observed, echoing her earlier sentiment about Elena's cooking skills. Even sadder than before. Thank you for that assessment. You're welcome. They got Lily settled in the guest room, which was clearly never used. The sheets were still in their packaging. Elena fumbled with the corners trying to make the bed, and Marcus finally took over. Go figure out what's happening with the leak, he said. I've got this. Elena hesitated. Are you sure? She's my daughter. I've been putting her to bed for 7 years. He softened his voice. Go. Do what you need to do. We'll be fine. Elena nodded and disappeared down the hall. Marcus could hear her voice sharp and commanding as she got on the phone with her crisis team. Daddy? Lily's voice was small in the big, unfamiliar room. Why are we really here? Marcus sat on the edge of the bed. Some people at work did something bad, and it's causing problems. Elena wanted to make sure we were safe. Safe from what? From people who might want to cause trouble. Lily's brow furrowed. Is Elena in trouble? A little bit, but she's strong. She's handling it. We should help her. We are helping her. By being here. By being okay. Marcus leaned down and kissed her forehead. Now get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. Will there be pancakes? I will personally make sure there are pancakes. Lily smiled sleepily. You're the best daddy. And you're the best daughter. I know. After Lily was asleep, Marcus found Elena in her living room, surrounded by papers, her phone pressed to her ear. I don't care what time it is. Wake up the PR team. I want a statement drafted by 6 a.m. She paused. No, we're not going on the defensive. We're going on the offensive. Richard Crane leaked confidential documents. That's a crime. I want our lawyers on it first thing. She hung up and looked at Marcus. How bad? He asked. Bad, but not unrecoverable. Elena sank onto the couch. The documents that leaked paint us in a good light, actually. They show we discovered the fraud and took immediate action. Richard was trying to make us look bad, but he's not very smart. So why does it feel like the world is ending? Because your name is out there. Your daughter's existence is out there, and I can't undo that. Elena's voice cracked. Marcus, I'm so sorry. I never should have dragged you into this. If I'd just handled Richard quietly, settled the case. None of this. Stop. Marcus sat beside her. You did the right thing. We did the right thing. Richard is the one who chose to escalate. But Lily is safe. She's sleeping in your guest room dreaming about pancakes. She's fine. Elena's composure finally crumbled. The tears she'd been holding back all night spilled over. I don't know how to do this, she whispered. I know how to run a company. I know how to make deals and crush competitors and deliver quarterly earnings. But this protecting people I care about, being responsible for a child's safety. She shook her head. I'm in over my head. Marcus pulled her into his arms. She resisted for a moment, then collapsed against him, crying in a way he suspected she hadn't cried in years. You're not alone, he said into her hair. We're in this together. Whatever happens, we face it together. Why aren't you angry at me? Because none of this is your fault. Richard made his choices. You're just trying to clean up his mess. Elena pulled back, looking at him with red-rimmed eyes. I don't deserve you. Probably not. Marcus smiled. But you're stuck with me anyway. She laughed a wet, broken sound, and something shifted between them. The careful distance they'd maintained for weeks suddenly felt unnecessary. Marcus, I need to tell you something. What? I've been scared to say this. Scared it would change things. Scared you'd think I was moving too fast or being inappropriate or... Elena, I love you. The words tumbled out in a rush. I love you, and I love Lily, and I know that's insane because it's only been a few weeks, and I've never loved anyone before, not really, not like this. But when I'm with you, I feel like the person I was always supposed to be. And I can't imagine going back to who I was before you walked into my kitchen that night. Marcus stared at her. Say something, Elena whispered. Please. I was going to tell you tonight, he said slowly. Before Karen called. I was going to tell you that I love you. Elena's breath caught. You were... I've been falling for you since that first night. The way you looked at Lily. The way you admitted you didn't know what you were doing. The way you showed up night after night even though it terrified you. He cupped her face in his hands. You're the bravest person I've ever met, Elena Harper. And I love you. She kissed him. It wasn't planned, it wasn't elegant. It was desperate and messy and tasted like tears, and it was perfect. When they finally pulled apart, Elena was laughing and crying at the same time. What do we do now? She asked. Now we figure it out. Together. Even though my company is imploding, and your life has been exposed to the internet, and we have a 7-year-old sleeping in the next room who's definitely going to have questions in the morning. Especially because of all that. Marcus kissed her forehead. Life is messy. We just have to be messier. Elena leaned into him, her head on his shoulder. I really am going to have to figure out how to make pancakes, aren't I? I'll help. You're going to do most of it. I know. They sat there tangled together on Elena's expensive couch, the city glittering through the windows. Tomorrow would bring chaos, press conferences, legal battles, difficult conversations with a 7-year-old about why they'd moved in the middle of the night. But tonight, they had this. And for the first time in a very long time, that was enough. Around 3 a.m., a small voice broke the silence. Daddy. Marcus opened his eyes. Lily was standing in the doorway, Mr. Buttons hanging from one hand. What's wrong, baby girl? I had a dream. Lily patted across the room. A good dream. Mommy was in it. Marcus felt Elena tense beside him. He hadn't realized they'd fallen asleep on the couch together. What happened in the dream? Lily climbed onto the couch, wedging herself between Marcus and Elena like she belonged there. Mommy said she's happy, that she's watching us and she's really, really happy. Lily yawned. She said you found someone good. Marcus's throat tightened. He looked at Elena, who was frozen, uncertain. Lily. Elena started. I don't want you to think. It's okay. Lily snuggled deeper into the couch. Mommy likes you, she told me. Whether it was a real dream or a 7-year-old's imagination, Marcus didn't know. But watching his daughter curl up between him and Elena, trusting and peaceful, he felt something settle in his chest. Permission. Not from Lily, not even from the dream. From himself. Permission to move forward, to love again, to build something new without letting go of what came before. Go back to sleep, baby girl, Marcus whispered. Will you both be here when I wake up? Yes, Elena said softly. We'll both be here. Good. Lily closed her eyes. This is better than a sleepover. Within minutes, she was asleep. Marcus looked at Elena over their daughter's head. Their daughter. When had he started thinking of Lily as theirs? I have no idea what I'm doing, Elena whispered. Join the club. What if I mess her up? You won't. How do you know? Marcus reached across Lily and took Elena's hand. Because you care too much to let that happen. Because you showed up. Because you're still here. Elena's eyes glistened in the darkness. I'm scared, she admitted. Me too. Marcus squeezed her hand. But I'd rather be scared with you than safe alone. They stayed like that until morning, the three of them tangled together on a couch that was too small for one person, let alone three. It was uncomfortable and impractical and completely imperfect. It was also Marcus realized exactly what home was supposed to feel like. The pancakes were a disaster. Elena had really tried to follow the recipe Marcus pulled up on his phone. But somewhere between the flour and the baking powder, things had gone sideways. The first batch came out burnt. The second batch was raw in the middle. The third batch stuck so badly to the pan that Marcus had to throw the whole thing away. I'm buying new cookware, Elena muttered, scraping charred batter into the trash. I'm buying a fire extinguisher, Marcus replied. Lily, perched on a stool at the kitchen island, watched the chaos with delighted fascination. This is the best morning ever, she announced. Your standards are concerningly low, Elena said. I like watching grown-ups fail at stuff. It makes me feel better about being bad at math. Marcus laughed so hard he had to grip the counter. Elena tried to look offended but couldn't hold it. Within seconds, all three of them were laughing, the tension of the night before dissolving in the absurdity of the moment. They ended up ordering breakfast from a diner down the street. Lily got chocolate chip pancakes with extra whipped cream. Marcus got eggs and toast. Elena got coffee, black strong and desperately needed. So, Lily said through a mouthful of pancake, "Are we living here now?" Marcus and Elena exchanged a look. Just for a little while, Marcus said carefully. Until some work stuff gets sorted out. What kind of work stuff? Complicated stuff. Grown-up stuff. Exactly. Lily considered this. Is Elena still your boss? Technically, yes. But you guys were cuddling on the couch last night. Marcus nearly choked on his coffee. Elena turned a shade of red he'd never seen before. We weren't, that wasn't... It's okay, Lily said, with the serene confidence of a child who had already figured everything out. Madison's mom has a boyfriend, and they cuddle on the couch too. It's what grown-ups do when they like each other. Lily. I already told you I'm okay with it, Daddy. Mommy would be okay with it too. Lily took another bite of pancake. Can I have a puppy now? The next few weeks were chaos. Elena's PR team worked around the clock to control the narrative. The leaked documents, as she'd predicted, actually helped their case. News outlets ran stories about corporate whistleblowing and accountability. Harper Industries was praised for taking swift action against internal corruption. Richard Crane's lawsuit collapsed. His own lawyer dropped him after the leak was traced back to his personal computer. The district attorney filed criminal charges, fraud, embezzlement, theft. Richard was facing up to 15 years in prison. Marcus testified at the preliminary hearing. He told his story: the 16-hour shifts, the falsified reviews, the 2 years of believing he wasn't good enough. When he was finished, the courtroom was silent. Afterward, Elena found him in the hallway. You were incredible, she said. I was terrified. That's what makes it incredible. She took his hand. How do you feel? Like I can finally breathe. Marcus looked at her. It's over. It's really over. The legal part, maybe. Elena squeezed his hand. But we're just getting started. She was right. In the months that followed, Harper Industries underwent a transformation. Elena implemented every reform she'd promised: independent review boards, anonymous reporting channels, regular audits of every department. She promoted from within, elevating employees who'd been overlooked and undervalued. Marcus became the face of the change. He spoke at company meetings, sharing his story, encouraging others to come forward. The 12 employees they'd identified as victims of exploitation were all compensated and promoted. Several of them became Marcus's closest allies. But it wasn't just the company that changed. Marcus and Lily never moved back to the old apartment. At first, it was a practical decision. Elena's building was safer, closer to Lily's school, and had a doorman who knew everyone by name. But somewhere along the way, practical became permanent. Elena's sterile apartment transformed. Lily's drawings appeared on the refrigerator, held up by magnets they'd collected from various adventures around the city. Mr. Buttons took up permanent residence on the guest bed. The half-dead plant by the window was replaced by a small garden that Lily insisted on watering every morning. And then there was the puppy. Absolutely not, Elena had said when Marcus first suggested it. Lily's been asking for months. Dogs are messy. They require attention. They need to be walked and fed and... Elena. What? You run a billion-dollar company. I think you can handle a puppy. The puppy arrived 3 weeks later. A golden retriever they named Butterscotch because Lily insisted that was the perfect name for a dog, the color of her favorite candy. Butterscotch was, as Elena had predicted, messy. He chewed through 2 pairs of her designer shoes in the first week. He knocked over a lamp. He somehow figured out how to open the refrigerator and ate an entire chicken. This was a mistake, Elena said, surveying the destruction. You love him. I tolerate him. You let him sleep on your bed last night. He looked cold. It's June. Elena didn't respond. But that night, Marcus caught her on the floor with Butterscotch rubbing his belly and talking to him in a baby voice she would absolutely deny using. 6 months after that first night in his kitchen, Marcus realized he couldn't remember what life had been like before Elena. The exhaustion was gone. The constant fear of not being enough, of failing Lily, of drowning in a life that was too hard to survive, all of it had faded. In its place was something he'd forgotten was possible. Happiness. Real, ordinary, everyday happiness. Waking up next to Elena. Making breakfast while Lily chattered about school. Walking Butterscotch in the park on Saturday mornings. Date nights where they actually went out because Karen was always willing to babysit and Lily was always willing to be spoiled by her aunt. It wasn't perfect. They still argued about work, about boundaries, about Elena's tendency to answer emails at 2 a.m. Marcus still struggled sometimes with the guilt of moving on, with the feeling that loving Elena was somehow a betrayal of Sarah's memory. But they worked through it. Together. "I had lunch with someone today," Elena said one evening. They were on the couch, Lily already in bed, Butterscotch snoring at their feet. "Who?" "A therapist." Marcus turned to look at her. "Really? You don't have to look so shocked." "I'm not shocked. I'm impressed." Elena pulled her knees up to her chest, a gesture Marcus had come to recognize as her trying to make herself smaller, less threatening, more human. "You told me once that you saw a grief counselor after Sarah died, that it helped you learn how to keep living." She paused. "I've been carrying things for a long time. My mother's death, my father leaving, 20 years of walls I built to protect myself from getting hurt. And you want to start taking them down?" "I want to try." Elena looked at him. "Because I have something worth being vulnerable for now. Someone. 2 someones, actually. And I don't want my damage to hurt them." Marcus pulled her close. "You're not damaged. Everyone's damaged, Marcus. Some of us are just better at hiding it. Then let's be damaged together. Let's figure it out." Elena was quiet for a moment. "I told the therapist about you. About Lily. About how I showed up at your house that night because I couldn't stand being the person I'd become." "What did she say?" "She said it sounded like I'd found my reason to change." Elena looked up at him. "You're my reason, Marcus. You and Lily. You're why I want to be better." "You're already better." "I'm trying to be." "That's all any of us can do." 1 year after Elena walked into his kitchen, Marcus planned a proposal. It wasn't elaborate. He didn't rent out a restaurant, or hire a skywriter, or arrange a flash mob. That wasn't them. That wasn't what they'd built. Instead, he waited for a Saturday morning. One of their ordinary, perfect Saturday mornings. Elena was attempting to make breakfast again. She'd improved significantly, though Marcus still stood by with the fire extinguisher just in case. Lily was on the floor with Butterscotch trying to teach him to shake hands. The apartment smelled like coffee and slightly burnt toast. "Hey." Marcus said, his heart hammering against his ribs. "Hey yourself." Elena didn't look up from the stove. "I think I'm actually getting the hang of these eggs." "Elena." Something in his voice made her turn. She saw his expression and froze. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong." Marcus crossed the kitchen and took her hands. They were warm from the stove, trembling slightly. "I just need to tell you something." "Marcus, you're scaring me." "A year ago I came home from work ready to collapse. I was exhausted. I was broken. I had given up on ever being happy again." He swallowed. "And then I found you in my kitchen washing my dishes, and everything changed." "Marcus, you didn't just save my career, Elena. You saved my life. You showed me that it's possible to start over. That love doesn't have to be a one-time thing. That family can be built, not just born into." Elena's eyes were filling with tears. "What are you saying?" Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. He opened it to reveal a simple diamond ring, not flashy, not extravagant, just beautiful. "I'm saying, I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I'm saying, I want to wake up next to you every morning and argue about whose turn it is to walk the dog. I'm saying I want Lily to have a mom again, a real mom, not a replacement, but someone new to love her alongside everything she had before." He dropped to one knee. "Elena Harper, will you marry me?" The kitchen went completely silent. Even Butterscotch stopped squirming. Lily's voice cut through the moment. "Say yes, say yes, say yes." Elena laughed, a wet, broken, joyful sound, and pulled Marcus to his feet. Yes, she whispered. Yes, yes, yes. She kissed him, and the world narrowed to just the two of them, just this moment, just this impossible perfect love they'd built from nothing. Does this mean you're my mom now? Lily's voice broke through again. Elena pulled back, looking at Lily with tears streaming down her face. Only if you want me to be. Lily launched herself at them, wrapping her arms around both of them, Butterscotch barking and jumping and adding to the chaos. I've wanted you to be my mom for ages, Lily said into Elena's stomach. I was just waiting for Daddy to figure it out. Hey, Marcus protested. I figured it out. You took forever. I took a reasonable amount of time. Forever. They stood there, the four of them tangled together in the kitchen, man, woman, child, and overexcited puppy, and Marcus felt something click into place. This was it. This was what he'd been searching for without knowing it. Not just a partner, not just a mother for his daughter, but a family. A real, messy, imperfect, beautiful family. The wedding was small. Karen as maid of honor. A few colleagues from Harper Industries. Lily as flower girl scattering petals with far more enthusiasm than accuracy. They held it in a garden, Elena's idea, surrounded by butterflies. Magic butterflies, Lily whispered during the ceremony. They grant wishes. Marcus looked at Elena, radiant in a simple white dress, tears on her cheeks as she said her vows. I spent my whole life building walls, she said, her voice steady despite the emotion. I told myself I didn't need anyone. That needing people was weakness. That I was better off alone. She took his hands. You showed me how wrong I was. You and Lily. You didn't tear down my walls, you made me want to tear them down myself. You made me want to be someone worth knowing. You've always been worth knowing, Marcus said. You just needed someone to see you. You saw me. From that very first night you saw me. Not the CEO, not the title, not the magazine covers. Just me. Elena's voice broke. And you loved me anyway. Not anyway. Because, Lily giggled. This is really mushy. Be quiet, sweetheart, Karen whispered. This is the good part. The officiant smiled. I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. Marcus pulled Elena close and kissed her while their daughter cheered and their dog barked and their friends applauded. It wasn't the ending he'd imagined for himself. A year ago, he couldn't have imagined any ending at all except more of the same. More exhaustion, more loneliness, more struggling to survive. But that was the thing about life. It surprised you. It broke you down and built you back up. It sent strangers into your kitchen at 9 o'clock at night to tell you the truth about your own life. And sometimes, if you were brave enough to let the walls down and trust in the impossible, it gave you exactly what you needed. Later that night, after the reception, after the dancing, after Lily had fallen asleep on Karen's shoulder and been carried to bed, Marcus and Elena stood on the balcony of their apartment, looking out at the city lights. Mrs. Reed, Marcus said, testing out the name. That's me. Elena leaned into him. Though HR is going to have a field day updating my paperwork. Worth it. More than worth it. She turned to face him. Thank you. For what? For letting me in. For trusting me when I didn't deserve it. For showing me that success isn't about what you build, it's about who you build it with. You showed me that too. Marcus kissed her forehead. I was just surviving before you came along, going through the motions. I'd forgotten what it felt like to actually live. And now I can't wait to see what comes next. They stayed on the balcony until the sun started to rise, talking about everything and nothing. About Lily's upcoming school play, about the new policies Elena wanted to implement at work, about maybe taking a vacation, a real vacation, not just a long weekend. I was thinking, Elena said, as the first rays of sunlight painted the sky pink and gold. About the apartments getting crowded. with Lily's toys everywhere, and butterscotch, and now two adults trying to share one closet. Are you suggesting we need more space? I'm suggesting we might want to look at houses. Elena glanced at him, suddenly uncertain. A real house, with a yard for butterscotch, a room for Lily that's actually big enough for all her stuff, space to grow. Space to grow. The words echoed in Marcus's mind. Are you talking about what I think you're talking about? I'm talking about building a life. A real life. Not just surviving, but planning. Dreaming. Elena's voice was soft. Maybe eventually. Expanding. Expanding. Lily's mentioned she wants a sibling several times, very loudly. Marcus's heart stuttered. Elena, are you saying? I'm saying I never thought I wanted children. I never thought I'd be good at it. But watching you with Lily, being part of her life. She took his hand and placed it over her heart. I think I might want more of that, if you do. Marcus thought about his life a year ago. The exhaustion, the hopelessness, the certainty that things would never get better. And now here he was standing on a balcony with his wife talking about buying a house and having more children, building something real. I do, he said. I really do. Elena smiled, that soft, vulnerable smile that still made his heart skip after all these months. Then let's do it. Let's build something beautiful. From inside the apartment, Lily's voice drifted out. Are you guys being mushy again? You're always being mushy. Go back to sleep, sweetheart, Elena called. I can't sleep. Butterscotch is hogging the bed. Then push him over. He's too heavy. Marcus and Elena looked at each other and laughed. Coming, Marcus said. They walked back inside together, leaving the sunrise behind them. Lily was sitting up in bed, butterscotch sprawled across her legs like a furry anchor. See? Lily said. He won't move. Elena sat on one side of the bed. Marcus sat on the other. Between them, their daughter and their ridiculous dog created a wall of warmth and chaos. We have something to tell you, Elena said. Lily's eyes went wide. Are you having a baby? What? No, not yet. We were thinking about. I want a sister. A brother would be okay too, but a sister would be better. Madison has a sister, and they share clothes and do each other's hair and... Lily. Marcus interrupted. We're not having a baby right now. Oh. Lily's face fell. Then what? We're thinking about buying a house. A real house with a yard. The disappointment vanished instantly. A yard for butterscotch. For all of us. With a swing set, and a treehouse, and maybe a pool. Let's start with the yard and see where we end up. Lily threw her arms around both of them. This is the best family ever. We're pretty great, Elena agreed. The greatest? Lily corrected. Marcus looked at his wife over his daughter's head. Elena's eyes were shining with tears she was trying not to shed. The greatest, Marcus echoed. They stayed like that until Lily fell asleep again, wedged between them, with butterscotch snoring at their feet. The sun was fully up now, streaming through the windows, turning everything golden. A new day, a new beginning, a new chapter in a story that had almost ended in despair. Marcus thought about that night a year ago, when he'd come home expecting nothing and found everything. When a woman he'd never spoken to was standing at his sink, washing his dishes, ready to shatter his world and rebuild it into something better. He'd been angry then, scared, certain that nothing good could come from such a strange beginning. He'd been wrong. Some of the best things in life came from the strangest beginnings. From broken moments that forced you to rebuild. From strangers who became family. From courage you didn't know you had and love you didn't know you needed. Hey, Elena whispered. What are you thinking about butterflies? Butterflies, magic ones. The kind that grant wishes. Marcus smiled. Lily was right about them. What do you mean? The night we met, she drew you a butterfly, said magic butterflies grant wishes, but only if you're really, really nice. I remember. I think you must be really, really nice, because every wish I didn't even know I had has come true. Elena leaned across their sleeping daughter and kissed him softly. Mine too, she whispered. Every single one. Outside, the city woke up around them, cars honking, people rushing to work, the ordinary chaos of a million lives being lived. But inside this apartment, in this room, with this family he'd built from nothing, Marcus Reed felt something he'd thought he'd lost forever. Peace. Real, lasting, unshakable peace. He'd been given a second chance. They all had. And they weren't going to waste it. Not today. Not ever. Because that's what family meant, showing up even when it was hard. Loving each other even when it hurt. Building something beautiful from the broken pieces of what came before. Marcus pulled Elena closer, careful not to wake Lily. Butterscotch shifted in his sleep, letting out a contented sigh. Home wasn't a place. It wasn't four walls and a roof. Home was this. Right here. Right now. And Marcus Reed was finally, completely, irrevocably home.